Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports, Stare Down Greatness. And yes, as you can see from above, the Super Bowl is set. We will have the New England Patriots, the evil empire is officially back, taking on the Seattle Seahawks to give us a little blast from the past from the Malcolm Butler game, from the Marshawn didn't get the ball at the one game. It's probably going to be a good Super Bowl. Once the Patriots kind of won in the AFC, it's one of those things where it's like, okay. So, pretty good chance that whoever wins from the NFC, this is at least going to be a pretty good Super Bowl. No offense to the Broncos and their fans, but I think we can all agree once Jared Stidham got in there, it's like, we don't want to see them in the Super Bowl too much. But we'll get into that game in a minute. Today, we're going to talk about those two games, go over the AFC and NFC Championship games, kind of recap, give my reactions to those, go over a little bit of NFL news, kind of just recap all the things that kind of happened there. We got some hirings, got some jobs. There's a lot of guys declaring for the NFL, so going to be interesting to see how the draft order starts fully pecking out now that we kind of have an idea of like who's coming, who's going. Something else that's wild I won't really talk about today, but we'll get into later. Darian Minsa, he's going to Miami. So everyone kind of reported that the second Duke quarterback kind of name got floated in the portal. Everyone's kind of like, oh, he's probably going to Miami then, huh? And then Duke threatened to sue, litigation and stuff was going on and everything, and now he's going to Miami. So that just goes to show that college football, as beautiful as the sport is on the field, off the field, that shite is a mess. Let's talk about some NFL football. We're going to hop into the first game, which is the AFC Championship game. 10-7, Patriots beat the Broncos. Really hard to look into the stats when you go into this game. I'm not too worried about Drake May going into the next game, just simply for the fact that their game plan completely changed, like late in the third, going into the fourth quarter, that and beating the Patriots. Because once the blizzard absolutely just came on, it was, I feel got insane. Like I forget at what point in the broadcast. It was probably pretty late on in the broadcast. Obviously because the snow was falling by this point, but it showed like first quarter is all good and everything. Sunshine looks great. Second quarter, sunshine looks great and everything. Third quarter looks great. 6 minutes to go. All right, there's a little bit of wind flurries here and everything. And then literally 2 minutes later, it's just swirling winds, snow just blasting everywhere. At one point, I think it was Nance on the call. He just goes, "Wait, I don't even know. I'll be honest with you. I'd be lying if I told you I knew where they were at the field. Let's just line up and play some football." Like, hey, the announcers couldn't tell where they were at on the field when it comes with like 3 minutes to go and they're trying to figure out who's going to go where. The only thing that would have been crazier if the game would have been played in Foxborough, because there would have been a foot of snow. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, the two battles that we had going on in the AFC and NFC. If you look at it, in the NFC, it was an absolute like war between those two teams of just like who's going to outscore the other one, who's going to make the first mistake that hinders their team from moving on. And then this game is just like, hey, who can get to like 15 points and can sit on this lead once the blizzard comes? Because, yeah, that you couldn't do anything in that second half pretty much. And Jarrett Stidham, after that one big throw he had to put him up 7-0, he just did not play very, very good at all. There was another moment where the Broncos probably should have kicked the field goal. Obviously, hindsight being 2020, you want to kick the field goal, but even in the moment, I won't lie to you, I didn't realize the weather was going to get that bad, but that's on me not looking into the weather fully. I just saw like, all right, it's going to be clear for most of the game, so we'll be good. And like, I didn't see it. That was like Wednesday on in the week when I looked at it. Thursday, Friday, I didn't double check back on the weather. Thursday I did. Friday, Saturday, didn't double check back on the weather. Didn't do it on Sunday either. So by the time that blizzard hit, like, you got to think that most people in that game kind of knew like roughly what the weather was going to do. Why do you not take the points there? I think that's a big question a lot of people are asking. I think I'm on that side too, is looking at Sean Payton. Why do you not take the points there when you got a chance to go up to 10-0? I guess, I mean, obviously if you get it, you go for it, you get it, and you go up 14-0, you absolutely bury the Patriots. But at that point in the game, like, they really weren't doing too much at all. You really could have kicked the field goal there. And another thing I heard that I thought was really fascinating, he's talking about they didn't run more trick plays or didn't do more on the offense when it came to like gadgety stuff to get Jarrett Stidham in rhythm. It did, looking back and watching it again, you kind of think and watch and see, and it's like, yeah, I really wish they would have done a little bit more offensively and been a little bit more creative. But I mean, the biggest killer also too was Jarrett Stidham had a really, really bad play where he basically tries to run out of sack. So at this point, he didn't throw it away. It was obvious that, hey, you're gonna you're done, dude. Just take, basically, you have to curl on the ball, get down. Just don't. Curl up. Just don't get hit. Don't get sacked. And don't turn over the damn ball, which is exactly what Jarrett Stidham did. He kind of did this, shovel pass thing. Pass goes backwards. Ends up being a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Or I guess should have been. I immediately heard the whistles kind of get blown. And it's one of those things where it's I thought Bill Simmons brought up a really good point. All year they've had a really, really good emphasis on don't blow it dead, don't blow it dead, don't blow it dead, don't blow it dead. Let it play out, and then we'll fix it as it's going. Even there's some that are so obvious it's not a touchdown that they let run out, and then basically as he's scoring, they're like, after review or after replay this, please move the ball back, do this, blah, 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 whatever. They blew it dead pretty quickly in this one. And not only did they blow it dead, you could argue there was some controversy about it being a backward pass and a deflection and everything. I'm not going to get into that. Immediately live, I kind of thought it was I thought it was a borderline fumble. So, like I said, when I immediately heard the whistle, it's like, why didn't they let that play out? Which was really, really weird. But regardless, Patriots ended up scoring on a Drake May play regardless. So, that put it at 7-7. Patriots ended up kicking a field goal a little bit later. And that was all the scoring that was in the game. Like I said, this was a really, really defensive battle. A good defensive battle between these two teams. Both teams fought really hard, and it was truly, truly impressive, honestly. You could tell Denver was really having Drake May rattled and made him a little... He wasn't totally rattled, but he was definitely a lot quicker than he probably would have wanted to be. And then for Jarrett Stidham, he was all happy. After that first touchdown, he was all happy and grinning. You could see it. He was really in the moment. And then as the game went on, you could just tell, that dude was an absolute hell from the Patriots. He was... he still was smiling a little bit, but not nearly as much. He just seemed like he was trying to get the ball a little bit too fast as well at certain points. There's other points where he ran and he did look good, but then there were just other points it was really, really bad passes, really late passes. Courtland Sutton had a pretty bad drop. It was a culmination of a lot of things that didn't go well, and I think a lot of Broncos fans, I think I even agree with it. If Bo Nix plays in that game the way the Patriots played, you got to think the Broncos win, but you can also look at it as hey, the Patriots also played super, super conservative, you would think, game plan wise, because they knew you got to think they knew they could handle Jarrett Stidham and not make him do as much, and he definitely wasn't as good as Bo Nix has been this season. So, yeah, it was awesome win for the Patriots, but that was one of those ones for the Broncos that sucks that Bo Nix got hurt, because you're going to look back and be like, man, was that our chance to do it? Another thing, man, shout out to Mike Vrabel, man. It's unbelievable that the Patriots got this guy. Pisses me off so much that the Titans just let him out of the building, and now he's in the Super Bowl. We'll talk about another team that just kind of let their guy go, and now he's in the Super Bowl as well. But absolutely just frustrating, Titans. You're letting the Patriots get another chance to do it again, which is just so damn frustrating. But at least it's not Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, right? Overall, though, no. Really, really awesome moment for the Patriots, who, like I said, they went from the highest of highs to then got the lowest of lows for 2 seasons. Unreal, only 2 seasons, and now they're already right back up. Some interesting stats. Obviously, the Pats are ahead of schedule at this point, because I think we talked about on the show too. I thought they were going to be good. I didn't think they were going to be, hey, we're going to the Super Bowl this year good. I definitely thought that they were going to make the playoffs, probably at least win one game, probably losing the divisional. That was kind of my thinking. If they did make the playoffs. But I don't even think I think I didn't have them even win their division. I think I had Bills potentially. We're going to have to check that back. But, man, just absolutely insane how they're now just all of a sudden with what's going on with the Bills and everything. You got to think oh, man, are the Patriots already back up top in the AFC East? But since 2023, they've had 50% roster changeover. So that's just absolutely insane that 50% of the roster, like I said, in 2 years, basically 50% of the roster has been gone or is out. And then from the 22 starters they had last year, only 4 of them were on the team and 5 or 6 players are out of the league completely. So that just goes to show you, how much turnaround they really, really did. Another thing that you got to think about it with the Milton Williams situation, he was supposed to be a Carolina Panther. And then last minute, because the Patriots had a lot of extra money, threw a little bit more extra money on and be like, hey, come be a New England Patriots. And you got to think that's just a massive help for them as well. So they're only starting to build their depth and get good and everything. And Drake May is 23 years old. So it's just, like I said, from the Broncos side, you look at it, it's man, this is really, really hurting because we should have won that game and we probably should have. If Bo Nix is healthy, we probably could have won that game. We could be in the Super Bowl right now. But instead, if you're a Patriots fan, you're looking at the other way. It's okay, now, like I said, they're ahead of schedule. The team's only going to get better, you would think, from this point on. And the evil empire is back again. But shout out to the Patriots, man. That was they played three really, really good defenses to get to this point. And, I mean, yeah, you got to take advantage of it. When you have an easy schedule like they did, you got to take advantage. And they're doing everything exactly right. It's like, you can't hate it too much. It's just frustrating. You just look at it and be like, man. And, of course, they got Mike Vrabel. That's the one I'm just the most mad about. It's like, of course, they got a really good and competent coach who is a former player there, who knows the standard and everything. It's like, oh, they're going to be good again. And as a Colts fan, gives me PTSD. And there is, I will say, a lot of eerie facts and statistics and just weird stuff that lines up between Drake May going into his first Super Bowl and Tom Brady going into his. I won't lie to you. I think our lean right now, I think Seahawks probably win the game, but I think I'm going to take Patriots plus 4.5. Simply for the fact that Mike Vrabel's been there, done that as a player before. And I think as like a coaching, I think in some part of coaching he's been in the Super Bowl. I could be totally wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I saw that he was somewhere in it. And then you're looking at McDonald, who this is going to be his first time, so there could be some nerves there, could be a little less experience, but we're probably going to take the, like I said, Patriots on the spread and everything, and then we're going to find something like Kenneth Walker over. I'm not taking this, by the way, just an example. We might do like Kenneth Walker over 2.5 receptions, Seahawks money line. Like, we're going to do a two-leg that I can get around like plus 100. That's what I'm going to try to shoot for, and then we're taking the Patriots on the spread, and I think I like Patriots to potentially steal it, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, we're going to talk about it now because we move on to that game. Seahawks-Rams. Sam Darnold looked damn good. Now, I am a bit concerned about him getting his ribs wrapped and everything and them doing stuff with the oblique because obviously obliques take forever to heal, and the only way to heal them is not doing stuff, and it's hard not to do stuff during football. So, obviously it's not affecting him it's affecting him a little bit, but obviously not enough to matter because he's throwing for 300 yards. So, dude's just absolutely balling out. Shout out to the Seattle Seahawks who win their game against the Rams, like I said. It's truly impressive, man. Like, that game against the Rams, they win 31-27. There was a moment, like, after Tariq Woolen got that foul against him for taunting, and then the Rams score, you got to think, like, oh, this is the moment where the Seahawks kind of potentially might look to blow it. And then there's a 4th and 4. They're able to get a massive stop, and your Seattle Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl, man. Sam Darnold. I mean, this was an awesome game. Compared to the other one, like I said, was a wintry storm, which is like a battle and a test of wills between two teams. This was like a fun little shootout. You had 374 passing yards, 3 touchdowns from Matt Stafford, 22 of 35. Sam Darnold 25 of 36, 346, 3 passing touchdowns for him as well. Kenneth Walker at 62 rushing up the ground, Blake Corum at 55, and then the receivers, man. Woo-wee! Buka Nakua, 9 for 165 and 1. JSN, 10 for 153 and 1. You look at some of the stats, like first down efficiency, or first downs, it was the same, except Rams had 2 extra. Third down efficiency, that's a massive one, people. The Seahawks were 7 of 13. The Rams were 1 for 8, and that is a massive part of why the Seahawks were able to win the game as well. They were able just to stay on the field in some of these possessions. I mean, time possessions, they only led by 3 minutes, but the fact that they didn't get those, there was multiple times where the Rams just got taken off the field, and it's just like, you guys just got the ball back. That would have been a huge spot to take momentum. And then the Seahawks are able to just kind of either bury him or they're able to get some points themselves. JSN, like I said, he's just so awesome to watch. He had an amazing catch on the sideline that ended up looking like, from what I thought I saw, it was a no-look pass from Sam Darnold as well. So that's another thing. Sam Darnold's just absolutely balling out at this point. He's been balling all playoffs. We faded him, I think, 2 games in a row now. We've gotten burned the last 2 games for it, and I'll admit, I thought the Rams potentially had a chance to steal that game. They didn't. Sam Darnold beat him, and he looked good. And crazy to think he's the first one to make a Super Bowl out of that 2018 class with, like, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. That just, Sam Darnold, man. And I'll admit, it's to the point, he's won me over. I've seen some more interviews with him, too. Just seeing some other stuff. It's like, I'll admit, I think I'm fully won over. Now, like I said, we just talked about my bets and everything when it comes to Super Bowl, where I'm leaning. But it's to the point where it's like, now, maybe the Super Bowl will be different, but it's to the point now with these last 2 games where it's like, these are some pretty high nerves, big nuts moments, and he looked calm, cool, and collected, looked like a guy getting the job done. It's one of those things where it's like, you got to think Sam Darnold pre-Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49ers, and the Minnesota Vikings with Kevin O'Connell. That took me way too long to think of. But you got to think the Kyle Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell, ever since that moment, now it's like which, by the way, this has me slightly a bit hopeful for Daniel Jones, because he's a very talented dude too, but Sam Darnold's like fully made a career turnaround. It's like he finally got some good coaching. It seems like he finally starting to figure it out and everything. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so I'm gonna start. Obviously, like this was the game for me. Like if they made it to the Super Bowl, it's like, all right, he's a good quarterback. Like I'll admit, I thought he was a good quarterback. He might be a great quarterback. Like I mean, you don't accidentally fall into throwing for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like and they didn't lose like in spite of him. Like he was a part of why they won, and that's another thing that's just like really, really impressive. Cooper Kupp had a big game as well in his revenge game against the Rams. Rashid Shaheed had 1 catch for 51 yards. It was not massive, massive play for them to open up the scoring. Like it's just that defense too. Matt Stafford was able to get him a little bit here and there, but when it mattered most, they were able to get the stops. So this Seattle Seahawks, there's a reason they're the number 1 team in NFL. There's a reason they are favored in the Super Bowl by 4.5 points. They are a legit team, and this is going to be just a fun matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. I'm excited, man. Yeah, like I said, Seahawks are minus 4.5 point favorites. Going this game over under at 46.5 points. Money line wise, you got minus 235 plus 134. So yeah, for example, like Kenneth Walker anytime touchdown. Seahawks money line, that's plus 103. That's something probably how I'm going to play this game because I just don't even want to mess with the points with them because a little bit in the Vegas zone. And like it's hard. Like I'll admit, the Patriots have made me a good amount of money this year, so it's kind of hard to go away from them. But at the same time, it's hard to keep betting against the Seahawks if they're just going to keep winning these games. They've cost me a good amount of money this year betting against them in some moments. And like I said, I'm fully won over by Sam Darnold at this point. It's like I don't have doubts from him anymore. It's like now will I bet on him and trust him in every single game? That's still up for debate. But it's to the point now where it's like, all right, like he's proven it to me enough to where it's like, all right, keep an eye on that boy to make sure he doesn't take any more of my money when it comes to betting. Because I kept waiting for that moment for him to turn into a pumpkin, and he just never pumpkined. So, yeah, basically I think it's going to kind of my reactions, recaps of the game. Still wild. I won't lie to you, as a Colts fan, hurts my soul to see the Patriots are back, but it also hurts my soul even more to be like, man, this is one of the years where like they really should have gone for it, but and should have. I mean, they were 8-1, and then depression. But they're keeping Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen. Originally, I was opposed to it. I wish we could keep Shane Steichen as an offensive coordinator if it's not going to work out next season because I do like the play calling. Just don't fully like the decision making, if that makes sense. But the good news for the Colts is if stuff doesn't work out, hey, there's going to be some good coaches coming up next year, it sounds like. Like one of them, Sean McDermott, he as well as Mike Tomlin, those are 2 guys that both said that they're not looking at coaching jobs this year. They're going to take the year off, and they'll evaluate, see what goes from there. You got to think for sure Sean McDermott comes back to coaching. Mike Tomlin, that's one I could maybe see. Mike Tomlin could be one who maybe is like done if he truly is just like, hey, I'm a Steeler for life. I'm not going anywhere else. But you got to wonder if he still has a little bit of the edge left. He's pretty young when he retired, but we don't know for sure. And like I said, he's at least taking a year off. The Bills are promoting Joe Brady to the head coach. I think it sounds like it's one of those situations where it's like if you don't do this, you risk losing him because it sounds like other places really, really want him. And, hey, he worked out decently with Josh Allen so far. Maybe they will. I'll admit, I don't know how I feel about this totally. I don't think it's the worst move ever, but it's obviously one of those things where like they had to promote him to head coach or they're going to lose him and he's going to go out somewhere else, potentially either be a head coach or probably going to be a head coach somewhere else, honestly, because I don't think he'd leave the Bills OC job to not be a head coach unless somebody else comes in, but yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how he does as head coach. I'm still not fully sure if I agree with him firing Sean McDermott. But it's one of those things where it's like, you can kind of understand it. He's been there for a while. They've kind of plateaued, per se. But so it's like choosing between Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, and they chose to keep Brandon Beane. Daboll's becoming the Titans OC unless the Raiders give him a coaching offer. I kind of hope the Raiders give him a coaching offer at this point. I don't want him to be the OC of the Titans. I actually do think he was a pretty good OC, head coaching wise. Another one of those situations where it's like kind of hard to see because he was coaching the New York Giants and they did have some talent, but they also didn't at the same time. So I don't fully know how to. I definitely think Saleh was a pretty good coach, and I think he got fucked over by the Jets. But when it comes to Brian Daboll, I think he's a pretty good offensive coordinator, head coach wise. I don't know. So if he does go to the Titans, like I said, as an OC, that's going to make me a little bit nervous because I think he's pretty good. Commanders are hiring Durante. Sorry, I couldn't find his name. Durante Jones as a DC. He was the Vikings assistant defensive coordinator, and now he's becoming the full-time one for the Commanders. So shout out to him. Probably a pretty good move. It's a newer hire. Let's see. He spent the past 3 seasons. He was the pass game coordinator for the Vikings and defensive backs coach. He's been working with Brian Flores. I don't think he's officially been like a full-time DC, but he's one of those newer names like, hey, maybe it'll work out. I don't know. And their defense was pretty bad last year. I mean, they're also kind of old, so that's hopefully something that will work out and be a little bit better for them. Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowl replacement. I'm not going to lie to you. I like Shedeur Sanders. Honestly, I think he's a decent quarterback. He ain't a Pro Bowler, man. I mean, I understand some guys are injured, some guys don't want to go, but if this doesn't tell you that the Pro Bowl kind of either needs fixed or they need to figure out something with it, then I don't know what is. I mean, it's not even like hating on him. It's just you look at the stats and everything. Like this is about as bad, if not worse, than the Snoop Huntley one. So I mean, not the best look for the Pro Bowl. You compare it to like the NBA All-Star and like how much it matters and everything. And like how much like NBA, like, hey, being an All-Star like really matters and stuff like that. And then you look at that's supposed to be what the Pro Bowl is for the NFL. It is. Not looking like it so far. That blizzard was insane though. Mike McCarthy is officially the Steelers head coach. Rooney also came out and said that the hire had very little to do with the Aaron Rodgers situation, but you got to think with how good the quarterback class is next year, there is a chance that they run it back at least 1 year with Aaron Rodgers, and he would be pretty poetic to end his career with Mike McCarthy after one more season. But if not, they do have Will Howard as a backup. But you got to think they're going to at least keep Big Mike for 3, 4, 5 years at least, so that he can help develop the next quarterback for them. Because you got to assume they're going to draft one next year if they don't have anybody this year, because next year's quarterback class is supposed to be pretty big. Giants are hiring Denard Wilson as their DC. He spent the last 2 seasons as the Titans defensive coordinator. Probably a pretty good move. I don't think the Titans were too bad defensively. I think a lot of their issues were made more offensive and having people-wise than it was defensively. But I don't know. I won't lie to you. No idea what to expect from that move. Packers are hiring Jonathan Gannon as the DC. You got to think maybe he's a guy who's meant to be a big DC, so I don't know. It's one of those things that you just know. For Cardinals fans probably would agree with me that he was horrible for the Cardinals as a head coach, so of course he's going to go be the DC for the Packers and probably be pretty good at it. I don't know, maybe it was just a Cardinals thing. Maybe it was just he wasn't ready to be a head coach the first time. You hear it a lot where the first time they go to a job, they learn from it. It's like taking water from a fire hose. And then the second time they go into a job, it's like, okay, I really don't like what I did there. I'm going to fix it with here. I'm going to fix it with that. And then, to be fair, he's also at one of the the Cardinals are up there at this point with the Jets and Giants when it comes to, like, historically being... at least the Giants and Jets have some history of winning and with them. Cardinals really, not too much. So it's going to be interesting what happens with the Cardinals. Another thing that's crazy, speaking of bad teams, everyone's pretty much bowing out of the Browns job, so... Like, it sounds like nobody wants to take that job at all, and it sounds like they were kind of doing some extra stuff to find a coach. Makes you really wonder what the hell is going on over there, and it makes you wonder how much the owners and everything actually really care about the operation just because of some of the way they've been moving and everything. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't know what they're going to do. I think Jim Schwartz is probably going to end up taking that head coaching job is what it kind of sounds like. It sounds like cause it's going to be, I think it's basically between him and somebody else in the house because not a lot of people want that job. Arthur Smith, he's going to Ohio State as the offensive coordinator. That's going to be really interesting. You got to wonder if he's going to help out more with the run game, scheme type thing because Ryan Day is the offensive coordinator there, which I'll admit my first time reading this, if we talked about it before, kind of spaced that part of it. So you got to think that he's going to help maybe with some of the run game and play design stuff, which he is pretty good at that, I'll admit. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Arthur Smith. I had Bijan Robinson the 1 year he was with them there before he got fired. Was not a fan of how he used Bijan at all. He just uses his players like really weird, and I don't fully understand it at all. So, like I said, he knows a lot more about football than me, Obviously, because he has an NFL job and everything, but there's a lot of stuff with him. I don't get what either the goal of it is or kind of why we're doing it. Dolphins are elevating Slowick to their OC, so Bobby Slowick's now the offensive coordinator with the head coach being Quinn Ewers, and that's currently their pairing. And then Halfley's going to be the head coach. So I wonder what they're going to do at quarterback. You got to think they're probably going to do something else different. That's very fascinating. Mike McDaniels, he canceled an interview with the Bills for a head coaching job to go be an offensive coordinator. You got to think he's just kind of wanting to have a reset year and maybe just go back to calling play. Maybe he's just over the head coaching gig. Maybe wants a little less responsibility, or maybe he just is like, yeah, not yet. Let me have a little bit of a break. I think that, let's see, something that's very fascinating. I'm going to wait to hear more from once they do more. The Colts Colts confirmed that the FBI has opened let me retry that. The FBI has opened an investigation into Jim Irsay's death, and the Colts have confirmed that. The investigation centers on the potential involvement of Irsay's recovery doctor, Dr. Harry Houtunian, who reportedly provided him with prescription pain pills and ketamine in his final months. Yeah, that's going to be a wild story to come from it. There's a lot going on with that. Like, immediately once you read that and you hear headlines like that, it's like, okay, that is a lot. And then, because Jim Irsay's health really dropped off a cliff from what it sounds like. Like, very, very quick those last, year or two. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Jesse Minter is now the Ravens' new head coach. Shout out to him. We talked about Jeff Halfley, who joined John Eric Sullivan over there with the Dolphins. The more I thought about it, it makes sense. Packer, bring them both in at the same time. The GM probably pushed, instead of bringing in Shula, the GM of the Dolphins probably pushed for hey, let's get this guy. I've worked with him for a bit. I like him. But Minter going to the Ravens, makes a little bit of sense based on their Harbaugh hire from previous history. So I think that's gonna be a pretty decent move for them, especially if they need to fix that defense regardless. So maybe having a new voice in there will help out a good amount. The Cowboys are hiring the Eagles defensive back coach Christian Parker as their new defensive coordinator. No idea how that's going to work out, honestly. They've been going a lot more head coaches as defensive coordinators recently, based on taking Eberflus, taking Dan Quinn before him. There's somebody else I can't think of in the middle as well, where it's just they were hiring guys who were defensive coordinator they were head coaches either the year or two prior, but then they moved the man back to DC. So going away from that a little bit. The Bucks are hiring Zach Robinson as their offensive coordinator. That's what I'm kind of interested in, just to see. You got Todd Bowles is I don't know. Todd Bowles is probably on very, very much of a hot seat, so they had to clean house a little bit and try some stuff out. I don't know how I feel about the Zach Robinson thing. He was with the Falcons the last 2 years. Don't think it's going to be horrible, but it's one of those moves that's I mean, maybe it might be better, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. 49ers are investigating the electrical substation theory as part of their injury probe, which is just fascinating. Because that's been going around for 2 or 3 years at this point. And this is just now the year where it blew up, because I definitely remember seeing it either last year or the year before, where I remember reading about, I didn't read the full thing, but I saw the article about it, and then I read some of the, I guess some of the notes about it and some of that stuff. It's oh, that's really fascinating to think about. And then this year came back up again, and they're actually looking into it, which is probably smart, because it seems like they do have a lot of tendon issues, and it also could just be, this could all be just a thing where it's hey, play on a better practice field and a better game field. That could also be a thing. Who knows? Hopefully they actually find what they're looking for. Vikings are going to extend Brian Flores, so if he doesn't become a head coach, he's probably going to come back to them. And as of right now, I don't know if there's only 3 jobs left, so we'll have to see if he ends up taking anything at this point. But yeah, that's probably going to do it for today. Thank you all for watching today's report. Really do appreciate it. Not too much to talk about this week. I won't lie to you. Oh yeah, we'll talk. You know what? We'll do it tomorrow. I'll give us something to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna go over some more news and everything, and then we're gonna talk about the NFL awards and everything, because that's gonna get announced, I think, either the Thursday or Saturday before the Super Bowl. So I'll spend tomorrow just kind of talking about the awards, how the season's played out for some guys, and then one thing I do want to talk about as well tomorrow is the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold. But yeah, so we'll talk about some news, go over the awards, like I said, and then I really want to talk about the Sam Darnold leaving the Vikings. The Vikings like, no, we're good with J.J. McCarthy, and just kind of like that'll be a nice little butterfly effect to talk about a little bit tomorrow. Just like, what if they just kept him instead of moving on and be like, all right, let's try with this rookie quarterback and everything. It'll be something fascinating to talk about. And then it's crazy to think about. So we got that because there's no game this week. I think the only thing really big sports-wise, obviously there'll be some golf this weekend. Australian Open's going on. I think WWE has a Royal Rumble this weekend. I think it's this weekend or next weekend, something like that. I think it might be this weekend because I think it's in January, and next week would be February. But obviously we have college basketball. It's going to be a banger. There's going to be some NBA going on, hockey going on, obviously. It's going to be a fun little sports weekend. Obviously not the most fun, though, because we don't have football. And then next week, we'll do a show Tuesday, just recapping the weekend that was, just catch up on any news, anything big that was like that. And then that Wednesday, we're breaking down all Super Bowl stuff, all props, all that fun jazz. Going over novelty props, all that stuff. And then season's over just like that. And we begin the countdown to a brand new season, which is kind of crazy. I also might go over some of my futures next week and just talk about kind of how the futures market ended up doing for us. We're either going to do that next week on Tuesday's show, or we're going to save that for like a week or two after the Super Bowl and just kind of fully round out the season with talking about the bets and everything, and basically being like, yeah, this is what this did, this is what we're going to do going into next year to cut out some of these, because injury-wise, pissed me off, so we're definitely going to recalculate how we do some of that. But like I said, thank you all for watching. I'll see everyone back in this feed tomorrow to talk some NFL news, NFL awards market, some of the stuff going on there, and then the crazy butterfly effect that has happened with Sam Darnold leaving the Vikings and going to the Seahawks.